Good, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Hub. In this episode, we're going to be discussing anti-blackness within the brown community. For this episode, I have two guests, Sakraj and Simran. The topic idea was actually brought to me by Simran, so she wanted to discuss that, and Sakraj wanted to jump on. So before we get into it, I'm gonna have them introduce themselves real quick.
Hi, I'm Sakraj Singh. Follow your boy at Roger Boy.
Hi, I'm Simran Bajwa. You can follow me at Simi_Bajwa on Instagram.
So, like the issue of anti-blackness, like I've seen it before too. Within our community, I've seen it before in like videos and stuff. I know our entertainment industry is really like plagued with it. The most recent example, like when you brought this idea to me, actually, like the first thing I thought of was like the AK videos. Where he goes, "Oh kale baara, oh kale ferage, sade gandi kale ya."
Yeah.
And it's that. I mean, like AK, like he's legit like portraying what our parents act like, and even for me, like when we listen to Punjabi music or something, and there's rap, it's the like oh kale anda gand fera ge Punjabi gaane ach and stuff like that. So like, what is your guys' experiences with like anti-blackness within our community?
Well, within our community, like it's definitely prevalent. Like my uncle, he like a family friend. Whenever we see him, like this has been going on for years, he'll just say like, "What up, my N-word" and stuff to us, and I'm just like, that's not funny. Like maybe when we were 11 and stuff, we didn't know like the connotations behind those words. It was funny, but being 22 years old, don't be saying that to us. It's not that funny. And then just, again, going off the point with the rap music, like whenever I listen to rap music accidentally in front of my parents, they start like screaming and stuff. They're like, what kind of like gun are you listening to? And it's just annoying to see how there's like underlying anti-blackness within those statements.
Yeah, like just sort of to add on, like we just got a store in San Bernardino. So for those of you that know, San Bernardino is in the Inland Empire, and it's a predominantly like African American like populated area. And when we first moved there, my mom was like, "Oh man, dealing with these kale is gonna be so hard." Mm-hmm. Or even just saying the word kale, like right, that's a problem too. But we'll get into that later. But like even we were playing music and stuff, and mom's like, "Jado bhi hai andar aa gaya," like they're just dancing to the music, like. Why can't they just be like normal gawk and like buy some? My mom legit said she's like music the problem I need and like I just think it's like they're blaming them like for just like what they like even just dancing around or even dancing to the music and stuff. I don't know. It's just weird.
Yeah, just for being themselves.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely like you can definitely see it. And definitely like people whose own parents own stores or like they work in the stores themselves, they're gonna understand because their parents probably definitely gave them the talk like, "Oh, Chuggy tarah dekhe. Another hot tha. Like, look at what they're doing. Like, make sure they don't steal nothing, and like they pay extra attention compared to like to them compared to like any other race. So like, yeah.
And do you guys think like as we're talking, like, do you think it's because of how like the perception of kale is within America itself? Because like for like you know how the Gori are like that too. They're like, "Oh, watch the kala," right? For my dad too, like when the whole Rodney King thing happened. My dad was like, "Oh, ek kaale karke," because my dad lived in LA. He's like, "Ek kaale karke streeta band hui, I couldn't go to work." My dad was like, "It's all his fault," you know? Mm-hmm. And that's what he went through. And then sort of because of that, it became like, you know, in the media too, like, this is what the African Americans are doing. And ever since that, my dad's always been like, "Oh, Rodney King di galti sigi," like all this. And I explained to him, and he's understanding now, but like that, like, last year when I was trying to tell him, he was like, "No way, like he fucked up like my shit." He's like that media was saying he fucked up, you know, like.
Yeah.
So I feel like, do you think that American culture has something to do with how they perceive the kale?
I think it's when our Asian parents first come here when they leave their home country for the first time. They come here and they're just trying to like make sure they're secure financially. So they're obviously going to look at the top, and at the top of the economic ladder was mostly white people, so they started equating white with success, and it just stemmed from there. So like they not mimicked, but they picked up the norms and values of the whites, and so like if white was equated with success, then African Americans were equated with the opposite of that.
Yeah, no, definitely that's a very valid point. It's like they had this internalized anti-blackness that they didn't know about. When looking at the success ladder, it is white on top. It is Eurocentric features, Eurocentric ways of living, and definitely they internalized that and wanted to strive for whiteness. So they see black folks at the very bottom, and then they just act the way they do because they have that internalized anti-blackness.
And like speaking on that terms like of where we were trying to like model ourselves, and like and oftentimes not Punjabis, Indians and Asians are often labeled as the model minority. Do you think that like because of being a model minority, like the Gare did have their own vibe, they had their own culture? Do you think like trying to become like the model minority, we did like leave some of our stuff back, like in terms of culture of how we carried ourselves, like in order to assimilate?
Yeah, I think so, because sometimes, I don't know, I've been noticing this recently for the past few years. Every time we're at Costco or something, I'll be talking to my mom in Punjabi, but then sometimes she's like, oh no, there's like Gore near us, we need to talk in English so they don't think we're talking crap about them. Like, no mama, like screw them, aap Punjabi bolonge. And so I think there's some things where they want to look good in front of like white people. So that's some stuff that you try leaving behind, but yet you still have it, you know, like trying to be presentable in a sense.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I just think like sometimes like I'm not jealous, but it's like they still have their like whole little like they have their thing going on, you know, like it's how they are.
They didn't really fully assimilate.
Exactly.
They still maintain to their own wave.
Yeah. I don't know if that has to do like with like Punjabis, like the anti-brownness in Punjabis, but I just thought it was like a relevant point since you brought it up.
I just thought it was. I just think it's funny because, as Punjabis, we should definitely be able to relate to them more than like any other minority or any other race, because we've suffered at the hands of white European-centric powers. We've suffered with racism, bigotry, and stuff like that. So I feel like we not fully understand their pain, but we should be able to understand some of what they've gone through. And I just think it's funny that how we're not able to relate that yet still. But I just think it's,
Yeah, no, I'm like adding on to that. Like, I don't know how relevant this is right now, but like I was watching like the Musiala interview. He was like, oh, the only reason like I'm so like passionate about Tupac or rap and stuff is because when I came from Punjab, I related to what he was saying. And I think it's like through that lyrics, because honestly, like, even when we're listening to rap and stuff, like some of it's real world stuff, and it's like, damn, we do feel that.
Yeah.
And being a minority, we do feel it. But like even us, like we're guilty of it too. Not just our parents. We still have that inherent, like not inherent, but like we still have the notions of anti-blackness. Like, oh god, that whole like he was saying, like we go to the store, it's like oh de kinkaraya. Like you still have to be on that lookout. Like do you think like being a minority like?
Definitely, because rap is mostly used by people from suffering and racial inequality, and I think the only reason our parents look down on it is because it's mostly majority African Americans. I'm sure if they understood the lyrics, they'd probably be okay with it. Yeah. But it's still surrounded around the African American stigma, and so that's the majority reason why they look down on it. Like even if like I could play Post Malone or something, and they'll say
yeah, my mom has done that too. I'm like, Mom, or even Sam Smith, and I'm like, Mom, really?
He's singing.
What?
Like he's not
singing.
Even rap.
Yeah.
I just think it's funny.
Yeah.
And then shifting it over, like how I was saying, we do like relate to music or sort of the culture too. The issue of the N-word shows up a lot.
Yes.
Because I know even for me, I have members of my family that's drop the N-word all the time. Like especially the ones that recently came from Punjab and they work at the store. They're like they drop the N-word because like I don't know, like you think
they picked it up.
They picked it up from exactly. They didn't. The first thing they learned was that slang type of English.
Yeah.
And they picked it up. And I was telling Simran actually the other day that when people like it's sort of hard when that's the first thing you learn. And, like, you don't really know the meaning behind it. And, like, that's not, like, providing him a reason to, like, say it. But even we say it. Like, not we, but, like...
It's our responsibility to explain to them. Because I have younger cousins who say that a lot. It's not even, like, cousins. I know, like, so many brown kids in the community who say it, like, so much. And, like, I feel like it's... like, it's weird to have to tell them to not say it. Because I feel like it's not as effective. Because I will tell them, like, especially recently, because my roommate is African American and like he's been on me about saying it. So I've definitely stopped saying that word, and so I'm trying to like tell other people to stop saying it because there are repercussions.
Yeah.
And they could definitely get hurt if someone doesn't really like no one using the word, so they could definitely get hurt. But like I try to tell them that, and it just doesn't resonate. I feel like
Yeah, and then
it's definitely a talk that we have to have with
Yeah.
younger generations.
and similarly, like that same cousin I'm talking about, the store that he works at is in Compton. So like it's cool. Like he goes up to the guy like, "What's up, N-word? What's up?" He says, "Get the N-word," right? Like, and the guy are just like, "Yo, that's our boy Sandy." Like, it's cool. And my dad went to India, and he came to work at our store, and he was like, he said it. And the guy were just like, "Yo, did this guy really just say that?" Like, it's sort of also that sort of like the vibe that you were like. Now he knows.
Yeah.
He's like, I can only say it with the people that are comfortable with me saying it.
Yes.
Although he doesn't know like the repercussions. Like, still, like, say like you're a kid and you were raised in that type of neighborhood, like Punjabi kid raised in that neighborhood, and you're like, that's the slang you hear. And like you grew up like, and to you it's not, even if you know like the meaning behind it, to you it's not that. It's like the "what's up, homie" type thing.
Yeah.
Like, what's you guys' take on that? Because I know individuals that come from that background. They're like, dude, I don't mean it that way. Because like I grew up with these guys. For us, it's just "what's up, homie." How do you expect me to change something that's been so ingrained within me for such a long time?
Yeah, no, it's just like the point you're saying. Yeah, like, you know, they start to like think of this word as something else, like homie, friend. But then later on, you don't want to be put in a situation like your cousin where he was like, they were like, "Really? You're really saying that?" You don't want to be called out for it. Rather, if someone like your friend tells you, "Hey, you shouldn't be using that word. This is the meaning behind it," try to like take that and break that bad habit. We all have bad habits. That is one, like, obviously we should not say, because later on in life, when you want to do something, that can come and bite you in the ass. Like, if you put it, especially on social media, people can look it up. If you say it in front of someone that you weren't supposed to say in front of, you can get hurt, or there's just repercussions in that all the time. And like what he was saying, Sukraj was saying, my cousins and stuff, they say that word all the time too. And it's just like, they're young and stuff, and I keep telling them, don't say that word, you know?
Yeah.
Don't say it. And then they still don't get it. So I also think it's like a thing where once you start growing up and you start getting the formal like education, because I learned about all this stuff end of high school, beginning of college, of the meaning behind that word and why not to say it. So I don't think it's people's fault that they say it. It's because they don't have the education, or someone hasn't really checked them on it. But someone should, or they should try looking it up, because, you know, you need to have that solidarity with Black folks.
I'm going to just give a quick explanation real quick. The reason many African Americans get mad at that word is, regardless, even if they say it in a derogatory sense, they don't want the rest of the world to start using it in a derogatory sense and forget that that word was used to dehumanize them and demoralize them and make them less than what they really were. That word had so much power, and that word was a weapon that was used against them. And they want to preserve that history. They want people to make sure like that shit never happens to them again. And so like it's not like me saying like don't say that word. It's like some people will really catch you on it, like if you say that word, and you're gonna get hurt. I just don't want you to get hurt. That's why I'm telling you, don't use that word.
Yeah. Similar example to like sort of what Sukraj is saying, like if a word does offend somebody, there's a reasoning behind it. I'm not equating this word to anything to what the N word ever was, but I was talking to a friend yesterday, and we were just talking about this situation, and they were like, imagine somebody of another race just comes up to you and says, "What's up, Gyani?" or something. Because I know for me, when I was a kid, somebody called me Gyani, like it'd be my family. I would always just be like, "Yo, really?" Like I got offended. Like I was like, "Yo, they used it in a derogatory way." And obviously, like I said, I'm not equating this to like the N word, but it's sort of like that. If somebody does of a different ethnicity just go, "What's up, Gyani?" Like I'm like, "Yo, you don't know like the reasoning. Like you're just saying it to say it." Just because. And again, like if that person used the same reasoning that we're. Or like I was like sort of like giving a scenario as if the kid said, "I've been raised with Punjabis my whole life. I can say it. Like it's okay." And still, it's that situation again. It's like, dude, no, you can't. Like you don't know what it means to me.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know if that was like a fair example.
No, that's a
It's
very
just
good example.
Miseducation.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. People don't have that education. They don't know the meanings behind it. That's why they say it. And it's like mainstream to them, because like a bunch of rappers in America who are Black obviously use that word because it's their word to reclaim. And then you see rappers in Punjab trying to use that word too. And they don't know, like, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. They don't really know what they're saying because it's just mainstream. But they should be checked on that, and they shouldn't be saying that word.
On that note, there was a popular Punjabi artist, Nav, who when he released his first mixtape, he used the N-word a lot. And when people checked him on it, he apologized and he explained that he made the mixtape just for his neighborhood, and in that neighborhood he was okay. Like it was okay for him to say that word, and he apologized like if he offended anyone. And following the apology, he like never used that word again. It's just like that's cool. Like he explained himself, he caught himself, and he learned from the experience. Like it's okay, but
Yeah, exactly. See, like, you get checked and you learn and you move on, you don't say it again. But if you continue, if like you get checked and you don't move on and you continue, that's a problem. Because
that's just ignorance.
That's just ignorance right there. And there's like this very simple flow chart you see on Twitter and stuff, and it says, who can say the N-word? And it says, are you black? Yes or no? If it says yes, then go for it. If it says no, don't do it. Not even when you're singing along, not even if it's just allowed in your neighborhood or whatever. Just don't say it. Just be educated on what it is. And honestly, it's just one word. You guys really need one word.
That's actually an interesting point. Like you said, singing along. I know this is about anti-blackness in the brown community, but just singing along. There's so many like instances where we see celebrities getting dragged for just singing along and saying I just want to know like you guys' opinion on like when somebody is singing along, or even when I know when I'm singing along, I say it to rap. Like I just truthfully, I just want to know what you guys think.
Truthfully, I can't, so that's why I've just stopped rapping the whole verse because I'll know when the N-word's coming up, so I'll just stop the whole verse because I'm not sure if I could stop myself from rapping.
Yeah,
like, I'll get
that's
caught
what I'm saying.
up, so I'll just stop like in the verse because I'll know it.
No, for me, I just completely like, I don't know, if one day if you were in the car with me, you'll notice like when that word comes and I know the lyrics of the songs I listen to, it's just silence and then moving on right away. Or like how Sukraj was saying, he won't say the whole verse. Like I know there's some verses where it's just completely them. Like, all right, I'll just jam to it and listen along. Because I think you need to like once you learn the meanings behind those words, and you're like, I shouldn't say it at all. Like I need to try to like be mindful of it.
Okay. So yeah.
Like that comes from because most people won't even know like the rest of the bars, but they'll hear the N-word and they'll just like, oh, I know that word, I'm gonna say it.
Yeah.
So that's where it's from. Like you don't even know what like they're rapping about, but you know the N-word, so you're just gonna say the N-word. Nah, that don't make sense. That's why. It's just funny.
Yeah. So now shifting the conversation back to like the Punjabi, right? The Punjabi aspect. Like I had said before, like we see it a lot just within our culture, like the whole AKA thing. You had mentioned earlier before we started recording there's a new movie. Can you like brief on that? Yeah,
the movie, it's called Kala Shakala, and then you sent me the image of the actor in blackface, and then like it was a promo or whatever it was, and that's very problematic too. Blackface in general is problematic, and having it be in our community is just, it further shows how we're trying to distance ourselves from the black community, which is not what we're striving for.
Yeah. And like even when that promo poster came out, I remember there was so much backlash, but still there was no response, like from anything.
Yeah.
And they just released the video. Just like that, the movie.
Just like that, yeah.
Oh, is it out?
It's out.
Oh,
it's out.
What?
Yeah.
I think it's been out since last week or something.
I'm not sure when it came out, but all I know is like there was so much backlash. They were getting dragged on a lot of pages. And I don't know. What do you guys like? Even the whole concept of Manya and like it was like Ogore Garnua.
Yeah.
Like, what do you guys' take on that? Because like even like in Punjab, you're like you see somebody dark. Like this is, I know, like I really don't want to speak for anybody else, but I know in my family it's like, oh, like it's that whole connotation, like oh, because kam karda hona or something.
Yeah, my parents say that too. It's just interesting to see how like the whole colorism aspect plays into the Punjabi community. You have the whole fair and lovely thing, trying to strive for whiteness. Again, you're trying to strive for whoever was on top of the ladder. So
what's fair and lovely?
It's the whitening cream that it literally bleaches your face to make you look fairer.
Damn.
Yeah, no, it's crazy to see like people will actually try to mess up their skin and stuff just to attain whiteness and not to be having that connotation of being darker, because that's apparently bad.
That's kind of redundant though, because like aren't Jats supposed to do the kheti? They're obviously gonna get dark regardless.
And that does come from like the caste system, like granted that's a thing, like sadly in our society, but
Yeah.
granted, like most of this rhetoric that I do hear is like, oh, Sita Jate, and then they go on and saying like all these things, you know, like you're the ones. I don't know. It's just yeah.
Yeah.
But like what you had said, and going off of that, like we had hit the points that we like the anti-blackness stems from here because it's more Eurocentric. Where does it stem from in Punjab or India? Where do you think that comes from? Because honestly, I have no like. I was just thinking about it right now. I knew we were talking about the Eurocentric. Actually, just kidding. I think like the British Raj sort of. I don't know.
Yeah,
how
that's
much of
what
that,
I was
like,
gonna bring
Definitely
up.
Yeah,
from
like-
that.
Yeah.
And I think mostly I'm not entirely sure on this at all.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure mostly like northern Punjab and that region were more like successful, and the northern you were, the more lighter your skin, so that tended to.
Oh, okay, I didn't. I never thought about that.
Stimulate.
And also,
Yeah.
just like no, we are just speaking our opinions, so like don't take any of this like serious word for word.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see what you're saying though. Like the north, like because even when that was like the Sikh Empire, right? That's what they invaded.
Yeah.
That was like the most seen as the most successful.
Yeah.
I see like where that's coming from.
And even Maharaja Ranjit Singh, he's painted as like light skin, white, basically like the
Even-
last ruler of Punjab.
even all of our gurus,
Yeah.
all of them
All
have
of them.
Eurocentric features.
There's
I don't-
Yeah.
there's one poster in my house of Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji, and he's brown, and honestly, as a kid, that was like, how come he's brown, the rest are white?
Yeah.
And as a kid,
it was
as
just
a
like,
kid, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's why I kind of liked him the most. I was like,
Yeah.
oh wait, he's actually brown because I was a dark kid. I was like, oh, I kind of, that's my favorite.
Yeah. No, even within like India in general, like when Gandhi was in charge of his shit, he was very anti-black
Yeah.
too. He would put like the darker soldiers to go first or whatever, and people equate him with Martin Luther King Jr. It's
Oh,
like,
that's
dude,
bullshit,
he's
bro.
anti-black. He wouldn't shake his hand at all.
Gandhi called Africans monkeys and apes.
Yep.
Look it up.
Yeah,
Gandhi's
look it
a
up.
piece of shit.
He's a piece of shit. This was a PSA. But yeah, no, you see it within India too. Within
Yeah.
like Gandhi, like he would put that ahead. He would like be very racist towards darker skinned Indians, even though those are technically our people.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Hypocrisy.
Obviously.
Oh, not only that, but also our use kala.
Oh, okay.
Us saying kala
That's good. That's
to
good.
refer to African Americans and people. I feel like that's just as bad as just blatantly calling the N word too, because kala is just so.
Legit translates.
It has
to black.
such a negative connotations now. It like literally translates to black, but there's such a negative connotations around it. Like oh kala ya.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a
Okay.
negative feeling. Like once you say that, it's like, oh, he's that.
No,
You're
that-
supposed to look down.
I
on
agree.
him.
Like same. Like with like just going back to like where we were earlier. Like with my parents too. They're just like oh cara like cara like,
Yeah.
Or like sometimes we see like people like in TV and I was like oh cara like she's shocked to be like whoa
Yeah.
like, you know like not to like paint my parent like that's just how like it was just a shock to them you know
Yeah.
like, and sometimes it seems like the way she says it's like was that not allowed
Yeah.
you know like
Yeah. No, definitely, like when I went to Toronto, Canada recently, a few months ago, and my cousin was like, you can't say the word kala here because they all know what that means. Even the gore, everyone knows what that word means. You're not supposed to be saying that word because like, it's just, that's their type of N-word basically in Brampton and those areas. So they know what kala means.
Yeah.
So you don't say it in front of them. Don't be like, oh, kale or whatever. Because they will be like, what the fuck are you saying?
I
Yeah.
feel like that's dope. I feel like we need to put more people on that down here.
Yeah.
I don't like what alternative would you suggest then? Like for us, like to say, like, I mean, there's I don't know, like for Punjabi people, like saying African American is like, you know, like
I feel like we could just fix the connotations around the word.
okay,
Just like
fair.
how we talk about them and how we perceive them. Mera dost ya kala, or like just start in a more positive light
Yeah.
Yeah.
than like anything negative, because I feel like with that word it's more correlating to like the racist and false beliefs that they're criminals, they're this, they're that.
Yeah.
We should just fix it and the way we like perceive them.
Yeah.
No, definitely.
It's not because there's nothing wrong with the actual word.
Yeah, and even with like how you were saying, like the young kids like know what God means, and I was just moving on to like our generation, right? So we talked about our parents, we talked about people back in Punjab, or just like others communities. Like even for us, like I know personally, like as a kid, even now sometimes the anti-blackness like perception is there. It's still that like gay like I don't know, sometimes like I am at the store, I'm like, oh, like you never, you know, like and how like obviously that's combating that with knowledge, or like just making yourself, like you were saying, like you change your behaviors, right?
Yeah.
You change like your whatever your habits. You said you use the word habits.
Yeah.
And I think like that's sort of like it's sort of because like we were raised that well, not we like I was not speaking for you guys, but like I was raised that way too. Like God, like how Sakraj used the example of God aa gaya. Like
Yes. I feel like you just have to educate yourself and honestly just like talk to more African Americans too, and like just people who are Kale, just talking to them, because then just talking to them makes them more human in your eyes, because you're gonna surround yourself with more of them, you're gonna like understand them more, and that perception, whatever false perception you had, it goes away, and you realize like, oh, he's human just like me, and so the more you talk, the more the conversation grows, the more it'll continue.
Yeah.
you have any last comments?
Yeah, to sum it up, if we want to help them move the society forward, we're gonna have to recognize their flaws and work together to fix ourselves. Because progress comes from within. It's not going to come from believing false ideals or whatever to propel one group that propels one group forward while leaving another back. Because that's not what Punjabis do, and that's not what Sikhs do. We're supposed to be a pillar for justice and fight for fairness. We have to stop perpetuating that white equals success and that black doesn't, and then just completely reject the negative portrayals of black people. And we got to understand that the fight for social justice for black Americans is directly correlated with our own, because we're never going to be white and they're never going to accept us. So we just have to realize this.
That's pretty well said.
That's
Thank
really
you,
well
Sakraj.
said.
Anything else, Simran?
We didn't mention this. I said it before the thing, so we can just edit this in. But another example of blackface was in the Jack and Juliet movie, where he breaks up with the woman after he imagines their future children in blackface when he finds out that she's moving to Africa to be part of a charity program. And you see that, like, what's wrong with your kids being black? Or even just seeing that image, like, what was the point of that, and why did that not see?
And it's sort of that whole concept of like it's gonna shock the audience. It is gonna shock the audience.
It's shocking the
like,
audience.
It's gonna give him a reason. Like the audience is gonna be like, okay, it's okay. He could leave the goatee. Like it's okay.
Yeah, no.
Right? Is that like what it was getting?
That's
at?
basically
it's its own form of like socialization or propaganda that perpetuates the idea that like, oh, you're not supposed to have kids with African Americans. It's just that it's just built on that racist beliefs.
And that reminded me, I remember, because in high school, I had this whole thing that, like, I was telling my mom, I was like, I want to adopt a kid from Africa. Every time I tell my mom that.
Yeah.
And she was like, Kate, you know, like, why? And I just explained to her, and it was still like, are you sure you, like, Kara? And I was like, yeah. And then again, like, just through explaining to her, like, I'm just saying, like, the first steps was like, really? Like, why?
Yeah.
And then it was sort of, I explained to her, she's like, okay, that's pretty cool, you know? And it's like that whole education thing. Like, it just reminded me because you said, like, they imagine their kids being God.
Kids, yeah.
But yeah. You guys got anything else to add?
No, that's good.
All right. That's about it for the hub today. Oh, wait, go for it.
Okay. I was gonna, our use of slang. I know personally for myself, because I tend to talk with a little slang. You know, my diction tends to slur up a little bit, and I've heard people in our own community just call me out, like, why do you talk like that? Why do you talk like a Kala? I just think it's funny because, like, that's the way I was raised.
I've noticed that.
What if I was raised that way? What if, like, this is just the way I talk? Like, so you're saying the way you talk is just more proper, and it just stems from racism. Like, it doesn't matter the way I talk. I feel like, and that just goes with, like, our own youth still has to grow, because it's mostly youth that tell me that, like...
No, I've noticed it with you. Like, we were talking, and I forgot. Somebody's like, yo, why are you talking like that? And, like, I sort of was like, yo, he was probably raised around that environment. That's just how he talks.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember somebody was just like, yo, why the fuck are you talking like that? And I was like, dude, it's give him like.
It's just the way
It's
I
just the
talk.
way
That's how he talks. That's
Like,
his
I'm not
diction.
hurting no one.
Yeah,
That's
you just
Yeah.
can't like say like, why are you talking like a gara? Like,
Yeah.
Because that's racist.
That's
but they
racist
doesn't-
right
but
there.
They're not connecting that. Like, wait, that's why I'm calling him out on it because
Exactly.
I'm connecting that the way he's talking with African Americans,
Yeah.
and they just don't catch themselves in that racist
Yeah.
thoughts.
Yeah,
that's true.
that's true.
Because it's not just me. I know like other people that talk like
Yeah.
that too who get called out on it. It's just
Mhm.
funny to me.
Yeah.
Like,
And it's funny, like, because it is our youth. We're the ones that say, like, even we're having this episode, we're like, oh, we're so, like, we know about this. We're aware of this going on in our community.
Yeah,
But, like,
But
who knows? Like, even exactly what you said, like, who knows what the next thing we're going to say? Not in this, but, like, all right, when we're going to be done with this, walking
Yeah.
back, who knows what we're going to, like, associate?
yeah.
Like
Or
what?
like my uncle example. Like, how many times am I gonna have to say it to him? Like, he'll say it again. I'll be like, okay, I can't say it anymore. It's enough. You know, like
Yeah.
I'll talk about this, and I'm like, or like some of my friends will say that word, and I'm just like sitting there like, I don't want to be known as that person, but like sometimes I find myself being complicit and just
And-
sitting back on it.
And sometimes that's the fear we have. It's, like, being that person.
that person,
It's like,
yeah.
yo, why are you so PC? Pretty much, like, dude,
Yeah,
come on,
basically.
like, come down. Like,
Or they'll be like, oh, it triggered much and stuff like that. And just like, dude, come on. Just stop being a piece of shit. You're in college. It's better, like, just don't be using those type of words like, oh, triggered much or
Yeah.
you're that person.
I also want to say like, we're not like dragging. Like, if you do think these ways, we're not dragging you.
Yeah.
Because like we were all raised in these brown households, so we've all been socialized with this mentality or this way of thinking. So like sometimes you just need like someone to inform you. So don't feel bad if you've never had this conversation and like, oh wait, I've been thinking those things. Like, I'm not trying to drag you or anything. It's just sometimes you just need someone else to inform you. Like that type of thinking is not right.
Yeah,
It's
and-
not
Yeah.
straight.
And to be honest, like, if I was watching this a year ago, to be honest, I would have been like, yo, who are these people? Like,
Yeah.
I would have been the guy saying triggered much. Straight
Yeah.
up. I would have been the guy like, yo, are you guys kidding me?
Yeah.
Even to like last week until like you brought up this topic, there were
Mm-hmm.
certain topics. Even when we were talking earlier,
Yeah.
like I was just like, really? But then again, like it's that whole education or just even learning
Education.
about it. Like sometimes being told it, like the blunt truth, like this is sort of like hard, obviously. So like I would be pissed about it.
Yeah.
But like over time, as like learn more, like it does, you realize what like where we're coming from as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I realize where they're coming from too. They don't like. I didn't know anything
Mhm.
like about this issue either until like I looked more into it, started researching.
Mm-hmm. No, it's definitely better to be checked by your friends or someone like you know. Whereas if you go out
Or
in the
people
real
in your community.
in your community, yeah. Whereas if you go out and just do something dumb and say that type of word or be upfront anti-black and you get hurt or something, then is that really worth it? No. It's better to be checked by your friends and just like, you know, be like, okay, maybe I'll try fixing this, or just in your head be like, you know what, whatever, I just won't say it around her or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, you can do that too.
Yeah.
And I think there you go.
Free Punjab.
Free Punjab. On that note, we'll wrap up the hub for real this time. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to follow these two. I'll put their handles and stuff. They really want it. They want it. So I'll put their handles in the
Clout
description
gang.
below. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you were triggered, feel free. Come on the next episode. We can talk about it.
Now we-
Add me all you want. Please.
We can
Add
talk
me all
about
you
this
want. I
if you
want
really
all
want
the
to.
smoke.
But,
I want all the smoke.
And honestly, like this anti-blackness or even just like cultural appropriation, like this is probably gonna be a series. We're probably gonna have multiple episodes on this. So if you are interested in being a guest into that series, just let me know. And that's about it from us. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Peace.